All right, so welcome back. Today we are working on the Fusion. The passenger side front wheel bearing is bad on it. I went ahead and purchased the part from, it was eBay. It was actually a Detroit axle. I've used it multiple times on multiple vehicles and I always have good luck with them. So, of course, the page before this shows all the tools that are going to be needed for this, and let's get into it. So first thing we got to do is I'll actually go ahead and do the unboxing on the part itself, and then we'll get the car jacked up with the jack stand, pull the wheel, and then I'll show you where to go from there. So we are not sponsored by Detroit Axle by any means. It's just a company that I found that I really like their parts. Everything's reasonable. I think this was 51 bucks delivered to my house. And it always comes with pretty much zero issues. So I've never had to, out of all the parts that I've used, I've never had to actually file any kind of warranty claim on it. And had anything returned back. So I do like these about these, and this is better than the Impala. I used same one on the Impala, but there's a wire that's attached for the ABS ring. So this is pretty much what you get. Everything looks good, and we're gonna go ahead and start pulling the wheel off now. So with this job, you are going to have to break the axle nut to be able to get it out of the wheel bearing. So if you do not have any kind of electric or air, you are going to have to put the wheel back on and use a breaker bar to get the axle nut. It's usually, I'm going to have to look at torque specs. They're usually anywhere from 150 to 200 foot-pounds. Of course, Ford and their lug nuts as well. Okay. Oh, shit. Got the last one on there. Okay, so once the wheel's off, I'm probably gonna have to get a couple more tools. I have a Pittsburgh axle nut socket set. The axle nut is 32, so this car was actually in a wreck on this side, and I believe part of the wreck was, that's what caused the wheel bearing on this side. It kind of sounds different than most wheel bearings that I've had go bad, but you can definitely tell it's on this side. So let me go ahead and get the axle nut off, and then we'll start taking, you do have to take the rotor and the brake caliper off. So like I said, if you don't have power tools or air, you're gonna have to put the wheel back on. You don't have to do that, and thankfully, since this was replaced, you're gonna have to get there it is, the axle pushed through. So on the back side of the caliper, see if I can figure out what size this was. It doesn't say. This is a cheapy tool. I'll have to look up the specs and see what size this is, but this is actually what goes in the back of the caliper. So let me go ahead and take that off. And usually what I do is I zip tie it up to the spring, just so it's not pulling on the line anywhere. Make sure you're going the right way. And I'll show you what the size, or what the actual bolt looks like once it comes out. You are gonna have to remove this off the front as well. This one's almost out. Yeah, I don't think they come all the way out. I think they actually stay in their holder. Nope, I lied, they do come out. So there's what it looks like. I'm actually going to re-grease this and before I put all this back together. But let's see, I might have to pull the other one out. I'm gonna put these separate because I don't know if they're different. Here we go. And what I'm doing is once it's actually in there, I'm kind of pushing down on it. I don't think they need to come all the way out. I'm not going to pull them all the way out. Let me go ahead and pop this off the front. And this obviously will have to go back on. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't bust me in the mouth. There it is. So it's gotta be pushed back. There you go. And then it comes off. So like I said, this side had ended up getting a new axle and I think a sway bar link. So it makes disassembly. Oh, and it also got brake pads on this side. So it made disassembly really easy for this. Alright, so usually what I do, this is optional, they actually make tools for this, but zip ties work just the same. So I'll show you what I'm doing here in a minute. And this is just so none of the brake hose gets messed up. And then you can just cut the zip ties when you're done. Or if you get the metal hanger that it's actually meant for, you don't have to cut any zip ties. Okay. Let me show you what I did there. So I just went through one of the collars of the caliper and I zip tied it to the rotor. Like I said, the point of this is so you don't end up putting any stress on this. Also something I noticed with this, looks like the boot is either tore or I might be able to just get a clamp on there. That's a project for another day though. So up next, I don't know what size it is. The brake caliper is held on by two 18 millimeters. Probably super bad for my hand when I'm older. Looks like somebody was obviously already here because they used the copper and a seize. So once one of them's out, go ahead and pick up on this so it's a lot easier, because if the weight of it's on there, you're going to end up struggling at the last bolt out. Caliper holder, last bolt, and then the rotor. There's no set screw. Sometimes there is set screws, but there's none with this one. Just pull it off. Not all of them are that easy. Sometimes you are going to have to hammer them off. But let me go ahead and get you in here and I'll show you how to finish taking this apart. So they anesthetized everything in there. But on the back side, so these are the threads sticking out. There's 4 of them, obviously. On the back side, you can see there's one and there's the other. So let me figure out what size this is. I am going to get, I'm gonna start the car and turn the wheel to the left and to the right. I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt these, and then it's pretty much just reassembly at that point, which I'll set you back up on tripod. But I am going to set this back up on tripod just to show you either A, how easy it is, or how hard it is to get these bolts out of the wheel bearing. So, and then once it's off, I'll let you hear what it sounds like. It's pretty bad, especially when you're going around a right-hand corner. Okay, so it looks like it's a 15. I went ahead and got a 6-point socket. These are probably gonna be on there. I probably should put a little penetrating lube on there, but we're just gonna try to get it out. So give me 1 second, we'll start. Make sure the socket's going the right way, and it is. Okay. 1 out of 4 done. So pretty much work your way around. I don't feel like you probably need to see all that. Like I said, you're gonna have to move the wheel to the left and to the right. It does help if you push the axle out. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, and then once it's off, I'll show you what it sounds like. All right, so while I was getting this off, I noticed it was a little hard to get to the bolts. The deep well and a small extension is probably more than enough. If you got one of those swivel sockets at the end, it's probably gonna make it even easier, but this is more than enough. So let me finish taking these off. I'll start the car, get the other side, and then this should, if you have to hammer it off, just get a rubber mallet. It should come off pretty easy. Normally when a wheel bearing is going bad, you normally get a specific noise. It almost kind of sounds like truck tires or like Jeep tires. This one is more of a grinding one, which I'm surprised it didn't fail inspection, but I have noticed it slightly gotten worse. So I don't know if they didn't hear it at the time of inspection, but either way, my child is in the car and I want it to be safe. Okay. So there's the one bolt. Threads look good on it. I'm gonna finish the other bolt and then we're gonna start the car up and do the other side, and then we'll take this thing off. Okay, so there's one bolt left in there because of how the axle is, but it is completely, you can move it completely in and out, so it's completely out of the threads. I'm going to make sure that the axle is pushed through. And you're probably gonna have to hit this with a hammer. I'm gonna start with this first, and then we'll go from there. All right, I don't even think it's moving it. All right, time for the metal one. And I'm gonna hold the brake caliper up here again because I don't want the lines to get messed up. This is what happens when you live in the Rust Belt. This has probably never been off, ever. So you just have to work your way around it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish hammering this. Actually, let me show you just so you're able to see. You can see the gap that's in between there. And you're just gonna have to slowly work your way around it until it comes off. Okay, so it is almost off. I'm gonna show you just a little bit more of the hammer. Oops, sorry. So there you can tell. Let me set the camera back up. Sorry about the noise. There you go. And then at that point, it just is splined, and it goes onto the splines of the axle. So kind of looks gross, but let's set this up on the bench. We'll compare this one to the old one, or to the new one. So this wheel bearing is definitely weird. It's not as loud as I thought it was going to be. I'm gonna twist it back and forth so you can kind of hear it, but it's more of a grinding than a howling noise, which a wheel bearing normally makes. It's like a clicking in there. Obviously the faster you go, the louder it's gonna be. So let's go ahead and get this one installed, and we'll test drive just to verify that everything is fixed. I'm probably gonna set this up on time lapse. It's the same steps as you took it apart. So let me go ahead and take care of that, and we'll do a test drive. Okay, so as you can tell, we're driving. Like I said, I was surprised. Every wheel bearing that I've normally pulled off that has made a noise while you're driving has made noise on the bench. So I guess I understand why that went through inspection, because even I couldn't tell, even though I knew what the car was doing. So tires do make a little bit of noise, which that's expected, but there's no more. It was really grinding. I don't know if there was an issue from the woman that owned this car before me. She slightly tapped the guardrail, which is why it got a new axle. It ended up breaking the axle, and it got a little bit of body work. It needed a front bumper and the doors on the passenger side buff, but it wasn't super bad. But I don't know if it did something to the bearing that was inside of it or what, but it is whisper quiet now. So it was starting to get really, really annoying. You can actually feel it in the floorboards. But so this pretty much wraps this video up. I am going to make a tool list that I will show before we actually start taking the car apart. I'll show torque specs. So the axle nut ended up being 148 foot-pounds, and then I torqued the lug nuts to 90. I do that on all of my vehicles. So I'm not sure what Ford actually recommends, but that's what I'm doing. So if you don't like the 90, look up the specs from the factory. It's probably 78 to 80, but it's what I do. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and if you guys have any comments, go ahead and message below.